The way memes, catchy ideas, invade the collective mind, or chattosphere, and act as toxins is well illustrated by the current stoush between pro and anti-Islamic postings, and more generally the atheistic, theistic scrap that's always rumbling along here in YouTube. The effect of this highlights the urgent moral dimension to our use and abuse of unrestrained freedom of expression. This is not for a moment to advocate the imposition of external controls, no mind police, but where passion is apparently taken as a sign of increased validity or awareness, rather than increased overwhelming of the psyche by unconscious currents, a move towards self-restraint is urgently overdue. The fact is that we are all our brother's keeper. We are all always constructing the networks of ideas that shape the collective unconscious. It is a holistic matrix, this flurry of ideas and whispers, fashions and biases, insights and values, an Indra's net. And when we enhance it anywhere, we do so everywhere. And when we degrade it anywhere, we degrade it everywhere. Nothing we do is neutral. No utterance is without consequence. This is the origin of a moral dimension to our freedom of expression. The passions of both sides of what I don't doubt each see as a rational debate are really a sad commentary on how little we have absorbed of the voluminous research findings and the resulting insights that are now available about how our cognitive apparatus works. The advances in consciousness studies, neurolinguistics, depth psychology, emergent order, social networks, all show how little of the time we actually think rationally. It is an area that those who hunger for power or money, politicians and marketers, have used since the days of Freud's infamous nephew, Edward Bernays. He became a multi-millionaire by teaching politicians and corporates the power of the unconscious in engineering consent. This black art is now so pervasive and natural to us that we fail to even notice it. But to the rescue comes Jung, the other great contributor to our understanding of the psyche's dynamics. He explored the psyche's deeper terrain, the collective beyond the personal, and discovered how we are naturally equipped with the capacity to see through the illusion of this programming and gain some measure of awareness to counter the effect of the unconscious and the power of archetypal thinking which overwhelm the psyche's feeble powers of rational thought. The occurrence of prejudice is everywhere very bad sign in individuals, not only for the reason that it means that one is prejudging someone without evidence, and not because by limiting another to a pencil sketch made up of generalizations rather than opening up to the richness implicit in their individuality, we rob them and ourselves of the experience of true communication. But more importantly, that in these prejudgments we are uncontrolled, tribal, non-rational. This is not just so in negative prejudices like socialism, progressivism, conservatism, any of the other beliefs are wrong, but equally in positive ones like this is the best country in the world. That implies that yours isn't. But these are attempts at self-validation and always have unconscious drivers rather than a rational basis. And they are the primary way we try to keep our unbearable sense of invalidity in the face of the other at bay. It's universal, and so humans should really feel mutual empathetic bonds to each other in our common despair because of them. As long as we are obsessed with the content of ideas, who's right, who's wrong, and don't pay attention to the underlying machinery of how such ideas arise, we remain victims of the unconscious, and we thwart the emergence of high capacities of awareness that we are clearly evolving towards. Then we recognize the fragility of so-called rational thought in each of us, and how often and how easily it gets hijacked by those mythic, atavistic, archetypal thoughts. Then, when we know the signs, it's not hard to spot them in ourselves. whenever we feel an emotional tone of anger, impatience, enthusiasm, or excitement for or against an idea or a racial group, religious group, a nationality, a sexuality, you name it, almost always we will miss, by definition, the unconscious archetypal current we have been caught up in, and which needs to be unpicked if we hope to have access to rational thought on the issue. Paradoxically, the more rationally adept we are, the more difficult it often is to distinguish these intrusions of the unconscious, the unchosen thinking, in rational garb. But if our highly prized rational machinery is largely running out of control, we don't see, how could we, it's unconscious. We don't see that mostly we fit our unconscious archetypal images in an acceptable cloak of rationalization. But lipstick on a pig is still a pig. Likewise, rational makeovers of the atavistic tribal prejudices fueled by instinctual fear are dangerous, really dangerous. And this is a large part of the malaise that is pulling us back to our primal pre-conscious beginnings and hindering the emergence of our higher conscious capacities of rationalism, altruism, connection. Our evolutionary arc now has reflexive consciousness emerging in us, coming to grips with the new consciousness that looks at itself as object. It takes a practice and an unrelenting self-examination and an attitude of humility regarding knowledge. Socrates and the Buddha are never far away in this sense. The means are easy to come by, but we are usually unwilling to commit ourselves to the lengthy process. We give up or change vehicles after the first setback, often irrationally dissing the whole project. But back to this current ugly stoush on YouTube. Really, it's just a sideshow, as even the whole religion versus atheism debate is a sideshow. What's important is how we respond to our evolutionary call to greater consciousness. Will we awaken from our hubris, or is nemesis at hand? Will we begin to explore our unknowing behind our knowing, or will we be slapped down by our unconscious selves? The four horsemen of the apocalypse, the coming apocalypse, are settling up. Famine, warfare, environmental degradation, and disease. Who will be left standing after they demolish our towers of pride?